Good morning, everybody. Mike's MMA Picks here with your Fight Morning Quick Card Breakdown show for UFC 258. This is being brought to you by BetDSI as well as MMA Oddsbreaker. We've got 11 fights. A couple of fights have been chopped down off this card. Only 3 fights are expected to finish, believe it or not. So let's get things kicked off here with the first fight of the evening, where we have Miranda Maverick, who is a prodigy, built from scratch by her family, forged in the fire, so to speak, taking on Jillian Robertson. Jillian Robertson, 9-5 overall record, 25 years of age, so she's still got a lot of room for growth. Robertson coming in with a heavy grappling game. If Jillian can't get this fight to the mat, she may be in some big trouble on the feet against the younger Maverick, who she refers to herself as a striker first. Miranda Maverick, 8,500 in DraftKings, -160 at the betting window. The other side of the fight, you have 7,700 for Jillian Robertson, +130 underdog. This fight is not, well, it is expected to go to a decision at -155. Tricky fight. You have Miranda Maverick, who, if you watch the Pearl Gonzalez fight in Invicta, she was reversed in spots. I have a feeling that Robertson's chain wrestling may potentially come into play here. If it hits the mat, Robertson is the better fighter in my eyes. But if this stays standing, Maverick stronger, pops a little bit more punch, although isn't defensively sound. But against Robertson, you don't have to worry about getting hit with many strikes. That's not her game. I'll be picking Miranda Maverick to win, though there is not much conviction in that pick. I believe there are much better spots on this card if you look up and down it. Robertson, very dangerous, though. Could potentially lock up a submission. I'll be picking Maverick, though. Next up, we head to the men's welterweight division, where we have Gabe Green taking on Philip Rowe. Philip Rowe, 8,200, +105 underdog. Watch Phil Rowe's fight against Shabazian on the Contender Series, and he reminds me of a poor man's version of Neil Magny out there. Got dropped, beaten from pillar to post in the opening round, and then turned a corner. Cardio came into play and was able to show off his hands in that one. Phil Rowe also has a solid ground game. Be aware of that. Gabe Green he's going to want to keep this fight on the feet. He's going to look to close distance, land power shots. Rowe's been susceptible to those in the past. Big reach advantage here for Phil Rowe, so be aware of that. $8,000 for Gabe Green, -135 at the betting window. Gabe Green, younger fighter here, we saw against Daniel Rodriguez, was in a dog fight on short notice there. Now, this fight could play out a few different ways. I have reservations about Rodriguez getting caught at distance and eating shots like he did against Rodriguez, though Rowe does not throw heavy power, and I see Gabe Green walking through this in the smaller octagon and winning this fight, possibly doing so inside the distance. Give me Gabe Green. Next up, we head to the featherweight division, where we have a couple of bantamweights fighting at featherweight. We have Brian Kelleher, boom, 7,100 +200 underdog, taking on Ricky Simone, who's coming in with his 17-3 record at 9,100, -250 at the betting window. This is a fight where you better get your popcorn ready, because these two fellas are going to be swinging for the fences and be on the lookout for Ricky Simón to come across that cage. And when he's not swinging, changing levels, trying to put Kelleher on his back. Kelleher is going to look to lock up that guillotine submission that we've seen play out a number of times. That's come in handy for him many times. Kelleher is going to want a dogfight in this bout. Simon's got a bit of a reach advantage. I believe he does have a slight cardio edge. He has the pace, the wrestling, and I'm really interested to see if the Team Oyama stand-up, his striking, is going to be taken to the next level, because I like Kelleher's striking better here. I think he is more precise striker. He definitely has more power than Simón on the feet. So this is a closely lined fight. If I was forced to make a pick, I would pick Ricky Simón by decision, though I'm not counting Brian Kelleher out whatsoever. I'll go so far as to say Brian Kelleher, I would like him to end up fighting TJ Dillashaw upon his return. Big stylistically, Dillashaw is coming back off of the EPO, and ain't no spring chicken. I think Kelleher would be a good test for him. I think Kelleher has the tools to cause TJ fits, but styles make fights, and I am picking Ricky Simón in this spot. Next up, we head to the men's. We've got a catch weight here where we have Andre Ewell taking on Chris Gutierrez. Chris Gutierrez, known for those heavy leg kicks. 8,400 minus 140 betting favorite. This is a fascinating fight. Andre Ewell is coming in with that big, long reach advantage, and he is a volume striker. So you got to wonder, he's also a southpaw. Gutierrez is going to look to chop him down. Is that going to be a path to victory here, knowing that he's going to have these left hands coming down the pike, and they may potentially stifle his leg kick game? So very interesting fight. I was not thrilled with Ewell's performance against Erwin Rivera in that fight. We've got Ewell coming in as a 7,800 plus 110 underdog. So if you are playing DraftKings, keep an eye out for Ewell. He is a high point producer as far as the strikes go. He's not going to be looking for takedowns here. And Gutierrez could potentially slow him down. So I personally am more of a fan of Gutierrez's game. I think that his movement, his leg kicks, his ability to get in and get out is fun to watch. But there's potential for him to get outpointed here. So this is a very closely lined fight for a reason, and I'll be picking Gutierrez. I think those leg kicks are gonna pay off down the stretch here, and it might be a brutal fight in the latter rounds if Ewell is limping all across the cage. So give me Gutierrez. Next up, we head to the women's 115-pound division, where we have Mallory Martin, who, man, I took a small stab at Cypher's last time out, and she almost put Mallory Martin out, but almost only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades, my friends. So Mallory Martin, 7-3 record, 27 years old, is she has a lot of holes in her game. 8,600 minus 140 betting favorite, taking on Polyana Viana, who has been a bit of a glass cannon since arriving to the UFC. 7,600 plus 110 underdog. Seeing a lot of love for Viana out there. I gotta say, I do see an opportunistic submission on the plate, ready to be devoured in this spot. Though if Viana isn't able to lock up that sub, she could potentially get grinded out, outworked against Mallory Martin down the stretch. Now, Martin, we know, has the wrestling game, is a tough fighter, has been beaten up in the past on the feet. I I do not have a lot of conviction in this fight and making this pick, but I'm very slightly leaning Mallory Martin. I think that her work at elevation may pay some dividends down the stretch in regards to the cardio and her top game. But Viana is live for a submission in this spot. Let's keep this rolling, my friends. We got a quick card fight morning breakdown on our hands here. So let's get into Diego Lima against Belal Muhammad. Belal, remember the name Muhammad, 32 years of age, massive favorite at this juncture, 9,200, minus 500 at the betting window. Big fan of Belal's game here. His grinding style, his ability to dig deep. We saw in Abu Dhabi how he was able to do that. Diego Lima, 15-7 record. Many are aware of his brother who fights in Bellator. $7,000 in DraftKings, plus 350. Underdog. Now, Lima's going to have to try to stay at distance and use volume and use a left hand, a hook to stifle Belal's game here. That's a tall ask in this spot against Belal Muhammad, who in the smaller octagon is going to be putting on tremendous pressure here. Lima has a reach advantage here. I'll be picking Belal Muhammad to win. This fight is expected to go to a decision at minus 195. Though don't be surprised to see Belal put on a pace in the third round that may shock some folks. I think that he's going to go for it in this spot, and I'll be pulling for him to get it done inside the distance, but we will see. He is not known as a finisher. Now, up next, we do have a couple of fighters who are known as finishers, where we have Anthony Fluffy Hernandez taking on Rodolfo Vieira, the black belt hunter. Love this fight. Stylistically, you have a clash, although Anthony Hernandez has fashioned himself as a grappler in some regards. Hernandez comes in reckless abandon, will throw hands, will attempt submissions. Seems to be in shape for this one. Watched his pre-fight interviews, and the guy cannot get off a sentence without using profanity. I was a little off-put by his trouble communicating. But he's not there to communicate. He's there to throw hands and lock up submissions. 6,900 plus 305 underdog in this spot against Vieira, who is one of the men. It's beautiful to watch him fight. He 9,300 minus 415 at the betting window for Rodolfo Vieira. Vieira 7-0 mixed martial arts record, but you go back and watch his Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu competitions. He is a wizard out there. And in this spot, things could get very dicey very quick, because you know that Hernandez is going to want to keep this fight on the feet. He's going to look to sprawl and brawl inside of the apex. He could potentially clip Rodolfo Vieira, who has a very raw stand-up game. But one thing I do like about Vieira is his ability to close distance and his ability to land takedowns. For a jiu-jitsu practitioner, he does have surprisingly strong takedowns against the fence. You watch a fighter like Antonio Carlos Jr. He's a high-level Brazilian jiu-jitsu black belt who cannot land takedowns. He gets stuck against the fence and will work for them and just can't complete the takedown. But watch Vieira. He has what it takes here. And I think more likely than not, we see him take Hernandez down, find the back, and boom, lock up that submission. So give me Rodolfo Vieira to win via submission. I also see him getting this one done early. But you want to talk about somebody who could come in here and be a potty pooper? You know who the potty pooper may be? Anthony Fluffy Hernandez. I'm not calling that, but he has the tools to cause Vieira problems on the feet. So give me Vieira to win, but just proceed with caution, my friends. Next up, Julian Marquez, who looked massive at weigh-ins, taking on Maki Pitolo. Pitolo coming up from 170. He was at 170 a few fights ago, had that horrific loss to Callum Potter. Maki Pitolo, 30 years of age, 7,500 plus 135 at the betting window. This fight's not expected to go to the decision. We've got fight does not go the distance at minus 165. There was a little bit of a glitch there. Julian Marquez, 7-2 record, has been off for quite some time. Big boy, 6'2", massive middleweight, 8,700 in DraftKings, minus 165 currently at BetDSI. Now, you watch Marquez fight, and he will go for it. And I think that if you're looking for a fight in DraftKings, this could potentially be one to enter into GPPs. Just keep an eye out for this one, because Marquez is going to be the much larger fighter, and he does pack a much heavier punch than Pitolo, although Pitolo is coconut bombs. I wouldn't be surprised if Marquez blows his load and ends up running out of gas late in this fight. Take a peek at that third round prop of Pitolo. I've seen it around plus 1,300 or so. I could potentially see Pitolo getting a finish late if he's able to weather an early storm here. But there is the more likely outcome is that Pitolo gets smothered with strikes by a heavier fighter in Marquez. So I'll be picking Pitolo here. I think that he has some upside here. His back's against the wall. He will fight for your money. I'm not saying he's going to cash here, but he will fight for your money, and he's going to put himself out there. So I'm going to be picking Pitolo late, and I wouldn't be surprised if he's able to get this done in the third round. Let's see how that plays out. Marquez, a lot of question marks, especially with the injuries and the layoff. Next up, we have one of my favorite fighters of all time, Kelvin Gastelum, 16-6 record. He's kind of fallen off the map lately. 29 years of age, 8,800 in DraftKings, plus 170. Sorry, he is a minus 215 favorite. On the other side of the fight, we have Heinisch, who's a plus 175 underdog. 7,400 in DraftKings for Heinisch here. I have not liked what I've seen from Kelvin Gastelum in his last few fights. He should really be fighting at welterweight. I know people don't like fans to be, or analysts to be saying that because we haven't walked his walk, but the guy is, I mean, I've met him. My kids have met him. He's a shorter welterweight who is fighting at middleweight, and he has so many tools. Master Rafael Cordero in his corner. He is lightning quick, can change levels, has a great jiu-jitsu game. His striking, he's so quick. Got that left hand like a piston. But I haven't liked what I've seen in the last few fights. He's not only failed to come through, but the effort level, he just, on the scales, there are a number of areas where I'm concerned. And against Heinisch is a grinder who you have to kill him to get him out of there, really. Heinisch is going to be beaten from a technical standpoint here on the feet. Wrestling game also, and jiu-jitsu game, same can be said. But Heinisch is a grinder, and he will go wherever the fight needs to go. And one thing I listened to, and I tweeted this out, he knows that Kelvin has great timing, especially when they're at range. His plan is to be unpredictable throughout the entirety of the fight. And I do see him I do see him attempting that. I will be picking Kelvin Gastelum. I think that he just has a little too much as far as the tools go and the hardware. But everything else points to Ian Heinisch being as live of an underdog as it gets here. You look at the trends and how things are playing out. But I'll be picking Kelvin to win. Don't count Ian Heinisch out, though, in this spot. That's all I'm saying. Now, we have the people's main event up next, as it's the co-main here. We've got Alexa Grasso, 12-3 record, taking on Maycee Barber. Maycee Barber, haven't heard this mentioned often in many breakdowns, but she's coming off of that horrific knee injury that she sustained mid-fight against Roxanne Modafferi. And she's 13 months removed from that. So she had to do her rehab and then get back in the gym and try to improve. I've been high on Maycee Barber in the past, 22 years of age, 7,900 in DraftKings, -105 at the betting window. Maycee has what it takes to win fights in the women's MMA game. If you look at head and arm throws, you look at someone who's going to come in close distance and land heavy strikes, look at her elbows in the clinch. And as she's closing distance, she goes for it. She will string 7-10 punch combinations together, and she's not fearful of the punches that are coming back at her. Alexa Grasso, much more precise striker here. Volume striker, has looked good up a weight class. She was fighting at 115 pounds, 8,300 -125 at the betting window for Alexa Grasso. This fight is, I understand why folks want to pick a side here, but I think there are also many question marks here. What are we getting out of Maycee Barber? Are we've seen in the Aldridge fight, she was peppered on the feet. She can get outstruck. She leaves her head up. There are scary moments in many of her fights. She's only 22 years of age. She's against Hannah Cifers. She made Hannah Cifers look pretty good in that fight too. The Jillian Robertson fight, Jillian could not get started, and Jillian is a fish out of water on the feet. So this fight is a toss-up as far as I'm concerned. I think if you could get plus money or close to plus money, I know it's out there on both sides, then you're in a good spot. But Grasso should be, if she's able to stay at distance, she should be the favorite here. She is fighting a fighter who is notoriously has poor striking defense. We're talking about Barber is technically the inferior fighter. The ground game, I think, is up for debate here. I would lean Barber as far as takedowns and top game and pressure and being the ferocious fighter, the ability to land or to score a finish. But I'm gonna be leaning Grasso here. I'll be picking Grasso. I think that in this spot, she is the better fighter, and that she has the tools to cause Maycee problems. The striking, there's a big difference in the striking here. Now, when you talk about ability to absorb strikes and eat damage, I could see Grasso crumpling in this spot, and I think that is a possibility as well. So I understand why folks are passing on this one. I'll be picking Grasso, though. Next up, main event of the evening, where we have two former teammates fighting each other. Kamaru Usman, who really is working hard to build a legacy here. Next step is Gilbert Burns, but Gilbert Burns is not a stepping stone. Gilbert Burns is here, and he means business. 19-3 record for Gilbert Burns. He's found his correct weight class at welterweight at 34 years of age, 7,200 plus 220 at the betting window, taking on Kamaru Usman, $9,000 in DraftKings, -275 betting favorite. Now Usman is going to be, man, I'm getting chills here just thinking about this fight. This is going to be one hell of a matchup inside of the smaller octagon. You have the high-level jiu-jitsu game of Gilbert Burns a fighter who really has turned on the afterburners, taking on Usman, who has been unbreakable in there. You watch this fight against Colby Covington, and I was on Colby in that fight. Colby had his moments on the feet. He had his moments during some of the transitions. But that fight primarily took place on the feet. And this bout, I see that happening again. I would like them to hit the mat just to see how Burns is able to deal with the pressure of Usman, because they've seen each other in a camp. They know how they react inside the gym. I know he's working with Whitman now, Usman is, but old tendencies should come into play here, especially when you're talking about the fight that could potentially go 25 minutes. But Usman, I think that he is deserving of the fanfare. His wrestling game is incredible. His pace is incredible. His feverish pace, and his durability is very impressive too. He has been in there with RDA, other high-level grapplers who have posed a threat in the past, and I understand why odds are where they are here. I will be picking Kamaru Usman. I think that there could be some sketchy moments in this fight, especially when you're talking about 25 minutes inside of an octagon. That's a lot of time. Gilbert Burns is going to have to go for it here. He's going to have to catch Usman and then lock something up. I think that's the way he gets this done. A reminder that there are no certainties in this game, so just proceed with caution, weigh your risks, implied probability, etc. I'll be picking Kamaru Usman here, and I think that you're going to get a grade A effort from Gilbert Burns. So this is going to be a very interesting fight. Gilbert Burns is dangerous, so don't think that this is a walk in the park for Usman, because it shouldn't be. Thank everybody for tuning in today. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button if you have the chance. Also, be cautious of where you get your advice from. Check the third-party track record. I have a few plays available at MMA Oddsbreaker Premium, and you can follow me at betmma.tips as well. Go get what's yours, my friends. This is your time. Let's make these opportunities count. Big night tonight, and we'll be back at it again next week. Thank you, everybody.